Imagine keeping a secret for more than 50 years. A secret about love, fame, and one of Hollywood's most legendary men. And now, at the age of 78, Cher has finally decided to speak out. Marlon Brando, the man who captivated the world, an immortal icon of Hollywood. Cher, the queen of pop, strong, independent, never allowing anyone to control her life. They came from two different worlds, yet amid the dazzling lights of Hollywood, they found each other. No press, no scandals, not a single headline. Their relationship was never made public. But it was real. Why did they keep it a secret? What really happened? And why, after all these years, has Cher finally chosen to reveal the truth? This story might change the way you see these two legends. Let's turn back time and return to Hollywood's golden era, where love and secrets always walked hand in hand. Cher officially admits her secret relationship with Marlon Brando. Recently, in an exclusive interview, Cher stunned fans by revealing a secret she had kept for over 50 years. For the first time, the legendary singer confirmed that she had a romantic relationship with Hollywood icon Marlon Brando in the late 1970s. This revelation sent shockwaves through the media. Marlon Brando, hailed as one of the greatest actors of all time, and Cher, a timeless icon of music and style. Two names that seemed worlds apart, yet they once shared a romance no one ever knew about. Cher's shocking revelations. During the interview, when asked about the most special men in her life, Cher unexpectedly mentioned Marlon Brando. But instead of mere admiration, she went further, confirming for the first time that they had been romantically involved. Cher described Brando as an exceptionally intelligent, charismatic, and mysterious man. She said, "Marlon was unlike anyone I had ever met. He wasn't just handsome, he had an irresistible charm, an intelligence that made it impossible to look away." She continued, sharing glimpses of their time together. "We had a beautiful time. He was an extraordinary man, so funny, so deep. But in the end, we didn't go anywhere." Her confession left many in shock. Marlon Brando and Cher were never seen together, never caught in any rumors over the decades. This raises a big question. Why did they keep it a secret? Hollywood is no stranger to secret romances. But for two megastars like Brando and Cher, keeping a relationship hidden would have been incredibly difficult. Why did they choose silence? Several theories emerge. Their fame and careers. By the late 1970s, Brando was already a legend, with classics like The Godfather and Last Tango in Paris. Meanwhile, Cher was at the peak of her career, with hit songs and an image of a strong, independent woman. Perhaps they wanted to protect their public personas and avoid unnecessary scrutiny. Brando's nature. Marlon Brando was known for being unpredictable. He loved deeply but rarely committed long-term. This could explain why their relationship remained a fleeting yet unforgettable moment. The social climate. The 1970s were still a time when celebrity relationships were heavily scrutinized. A man like Brando, with his complex love life, and a powerhouse woman like Cher, maybe they chose secrecy to avoid unwanted pressure. What really happened between them? While Cher didn't reveal many details, it's clear that this relationship left a lasting impression on her. She spoke of Brando with warmth, but also a hint of regret. A love story that was never loud, never public, but one that neither of them ever forgot. Perhaps, in another timeline, Hollywood would have witnessed an iconic couple, Cher and Marlon Brando. But instead, they walked separate paths, leaving behind a story only they truly understood. So, how did this romance begin? What drew them together in the glittering world of Hollywood? The secret love story. Hollywood in the 1970s was a world of glamour and extravagance, where legends were made, but also where secrets were buried. Behind the dazzling lights, the silver screens, and the grand stages, there were stories that never made it to the headlines. And the story of Cher and Marlon Brando is one of them. How did they meet? There was never an official statement about their first encounter, but according to those close to them, Cher and Marlon Brando's relationship began in the late 1970s at a film event in Los Angeles. It was a lavish night, filled with Hollywood's biggest stars, and naturally, both Brando and Cher were at the center of attention. At the time, Brando was already a living legend, known for his iconic roles as Vito Corleone in The Godfather and Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire. Cher, while not a major film actress, was one of the biggest music stars of her generation, known for her bold fashion, strong personality, and undeniable charisma. In the midst of the glittering crowd, their eyes met. And in that moment, time seemed to slow down. Brando was always drawn to strong, intelligent, and independent women who weren't easily swayed by his legendary charm. Cher was exactly that kind of woman. Some might think they were just two stars casually chatting at a party. But no. When they started talking, there was an invisible thread connecting their souls. The moments they shared. Their relationship was unlike anything Cher had ever experienced. Brando was not an easy man to understand. He had depth, mystery, and a mind filled with philosophy. They didn't date in the typical Hollywood way, no public outings, no paparazzi capturing their every move. Instead, they spent time together in private, away from the spotlight. Brando preferred inviting Cher to his home, not for extravagant parties, but to spend hours talking about cinema, art, philosophy, and life. Cher once said, "Brando could talk about anything in the world. He could make you laugh, and the next moment, he'd have you contemplating the meaning of life. With him, I wasn't just a famous singer, I was a person, a soul." Brando was captivated by Cher's directness and independence. She wasn't like the other women in his life, she didn't need a man to define her, and she wasn't afraid to speak her mind. And for Cher, she saw in Brando a man with more depth than the world ever realized. He wasn't just a Hollywood legend, a charming actor, he was a complex soul, filled with both brilliance and hidden sorrows. Some nights, they would drive out of the city, just to watch the stars and talk about dreams and fears that no one else could understand. But despite all these beautiful moments, they were never meant to last. Why didn't they end up together? Despite their strong connection, Brando and Cher's relationship never became a public romance. And there were several reasons for that. Brando was never a man of stability. His life was a whirlwind of emotions, fleeting romances, and inner conflicts even he couldn't control. He was married 3 times, had dozens of relationships, but never truly settled down. Cher was also a woman with her own path. She was never someone who would lose herself for a man, not even Marlon Brando. And finally, perhaps they both knew that taking things further would ruin the most beautiful part of their relationship, the freedom, the mystery, the quiet but magnetic bond between two kindred spirits. Some love stories aren't meant to last forever. Some relationships are perfect because they exist only in memories, untouched by time or reality. And perhaps that's why Cher and Marlon Brando chose to keep their story a secret, a beautiful moment only the two of them truly understood. So, after all these years, how does Cher feel about it? What made her finally reveal this after decades of silence? Why didn't they end up together? Some love stories are beautiful but never reach their conclusion. Not because of a lack of feelings, but because life, circumstances, and personal choices led them down different paths. The story between Cher and Marlon Brando was just that, a quiet yet intense romance that, in the end, remained a cherished memory of the past. The major obstacles. From the very beginning, there were insurmountable barriers between them. And although they shared a special connection, both understood that a serious relationship was unlikely to happen. Marlon Brando was too much of a ladies' man. Brando was not only a legendary actor, but also an incredibly charismatic man. He had been in dozens of romantic relationships, had 3 official marriages, and children spread across the globe. Women who entered his life were drawn to his depth and charm, but also had to deal with his complexity and unpredictability. He could love passionately, but also leave without a word. That was Brando's nature, a wild soul that refused to be tied down. Cher, despite being captivated by his intelligence and mystery, knew very well that a man like Brando would never truly belong to anyone. She once said, "Brando was a wonderful man, But he was not the kind of person who could stay committed to someone for long. I knew that from the start. They may have shared happy moments together, but in the long run, Cher refused to become just another woman caught in Brando's complicated romantic whirlwind. Cher was focused on her career. By the late 1970s, Cher was at a crucial turning point in her career. After her divorce from Sonny Bono, she had to rebuild her image and prove herself as a powerful solo artist. This was a time when she was experimenting with new music styles, seeking roles in Hollywood, and proving she could succeed on her own. A relationship with Brando, a man with a troubled and unstable personal life, could have been a burden. Cher was not the type of woman to sacrifice her career for love. She had worked too hard to build her reputation, and she knew that getting entangled in a complicated romance could impact her public image and future. Brando had already seen the peak of his career and was no longer an A-list star at that time. Cher, however, was at her prime. A public relationship between them would have caused too much controversy. Hollywood and public pressure. The 1970s were an era when the media was starting to thrive on sensational celebrity scandals. A romance between Cher, the bold pop queen, and Marlon Brando, the film legend with a controversial personal life, would have become the talk of Hollywood. At that time, the public was still very judgmental about artists' images. If their affair had been exposed, it could have turned into a massive scandal, affecting both of their careers. Cher didn't want to see her private life splashed across the headlines with titles like "Cher in a Forbidden Love Affair with Brando?" or "Hollywood icon Marlon Brando and his secret romance with the pop queen." She had no interest in having her personal life dissected, analyzed, or distorted by the press. So instead of making it public, they chose to keep their relationship in the shadows, a secret between them, a beautiful memory that didn't need the world's validation. Why did Cher reveal it now? After more than 40 years, when recalling this old story, Cher expresses no regret. She doesn't speak of it as a heartbreak, but rather as a beautiful moment from her past. Something special that was meant to remain in the past. She has gone through many ups and downs, witnessed countless events in her life, and perhaps at this stage, she finally feels free to share without fear of judgment. Moreover, as people age, they often reflect on their most unforgettable memories. And for Cher, Brando was part of those memories. She no longer needs to keep it a secret. She no longer worries about public opinion. Now, she simply wants to share her story as a way of honoring the beautiful moments in her life and allowing her fans to understand her more deeply. Not all love stories need to last forever to be meaningful. And perhaps, the connection between Cher and Marlon Brando was just that, a beautiful story with no conclusion, a memory that will never fade. But is this truly all that Cher wanted to share? Or is there still a secret yet to be revealed? Some stories remain hidden for decades, until one day, they are finally told. Not for scandal. Not for attention. But sometimes, simply because the time has come. Why did Cher decide to share her story about Marlon Brando at 78? At 78, Cher has nothing left to hide. Age changes how people view the world. In youth, there's concern about reputation, career, and public perception. But after nearly a century of life, those worries fade. Cher has had it all: the fame, fortune, and iconic career. Now, she no longer needs to keep anything to herself. Talking about her past romance with Brando isn't a publicity stunt, it's simply a reflection, a way to relive beautiful memories without fear of judgment. She can now speak freely about moments that once made her heart race without worrying about consequences or sensationalized headlines. Cher wants to honor Brando, a man who once meant something to her. Marlon Brando passed away in 2004, but his legend lives on. To Cher, he wasn't just a Hollywood icon, he was someone special, someone who once left an imprint on her life. Perhaps, mentioning Brando now is her way of paying tribute to him. Not as a legendary actor, but as a man who, for a fleeting moment, stirred her heart. As people grow older, they often reflect on those who have come and gone, those who have left deep marks on their lives. Maybe Cher never had the chance to say these words before, but now, with time no longer a concern, she wants to acknowledge that those moments were real and they were beautiful. Is Cher writing a memoir or simply sharing with her fans? In recent years, many legendary artists have released memoirs to tell their stories in the most personal way possible. Perhaps Cher is doing the same. With a life full of ups and downs, from her years with Sonny Bono, her peak in music, her high-profile romances, to her relentless reinvention, it wouldn't be surprising if she were working on a memoir to capture it all. And her connection with Marlon Brando may just be a small but unforgettable chapter in that story. Or maybe she simply wants to share with her fans, the people who have followed her for decades. After so many years in the public eye, she's not just a star, she's a part of pop culture history. And sometimes, sharing personal stories is a way to connect with an audience on a deeper level. A story that leaves many thinking. Whatever the reason, Cher's revelation about Marlon Brando has sparked public intrigue. Not just because it's unexpected, but because it brings forth reflections on love, youth, and what truly matters when looking back on a life well lived. Some love stories don't need to last forever to be meaningful. Some people only appear in brief moments of our lives, yet leave a lasting impact. And some stories, no matter how long they've been kept secret, eventually deserve to be told, not for validation, but simply because they are worth remembering. The impact on Hollywood and fans. Cher and Marlon Brando's story isn't just an old Hollywood romance finally coming to light, it's a glimpse into love, fame, and the hidden truths behind the entertainment industry. Hollywood, a place of secret romances. Behind the dazzling facade of show business lie countless untold love stories. Many relationships in Hollywood have remained in the shadows, concealed for various reasons: public scrutiny, personal image, or simply the choice of those involved. Cher and Brando's connection is one such story, an unspoken romance between two icons of film and music, revealed only after decades had passed. This revelation sparks curiosity. How many other love stories in Hollywood's history have never been told? Two different souls, yet a special connection. Cher, the bold, rebellious songstress and actress. Marlon Brando, the enigmatic, irresistibly charismatic legend of the silver screen. They may not have been an obvious match in the public eye, yet at some point, they found a connection that resonated deeply. This revelation leaves fans wondering, if circumstances had been different, could they have been one of Hollywood's great power couples? A love that didn't last, but a memory that endures. Not all relationships need to last a lifetime to be unforgettable. For Cher, Brando may simply be a cherished memory, a person who once walked into her life and left a profound impression. And isn't that true for all of us? Sometimes, people pass through our lives only for a brief moment, yet their presence lingers forever in our hearts.